Greetings, my fellow beautiful human beings. I am Reverend Kyle Applegate, and this is my second video, and I'm really excited about today's topic. Today I'm going to share 12 books that have changed my life. And these are books that I've gone back to over and over and over as reference materials. I am not an avid reader. I know people that can knock off a book a week, and I'm really like envy them. I'm the kind of person that likes to digest a book and process it and sit with it. But these are a list of books, and I have my beautiful collection over here. And again, I'm really excited about this topic. So, first, I'm going to start off with I don't know who this quote is from, and if you know it, please put it in the comments below. But I had heard recently that if you have too much going on in your head, write. Get it out of your head, write. And if you need some new inspiration, read. So I think both of those things apply. And because it's New Year's Day here in New York City, I'm going to end this reading three of my original poems that are an ode to gender in three acts, so stay tuned for that. So, to get started, the first thing I just want to share with y'all, this is a list of my journals. And I started journaling, I believe, in 1994. So I have another one that I'm starting now because I just finished one. And that is something that I definitely uh, encourage and support people to write in journals. It's such a great way to clear your mind and to I never really looked back in my journals. But every once in a while I might glance at a page because some of it's really difficult or painful or things you forget. And so I really encourage people to write their thoughts down. And it doesn't have to be every week or every month, but just to write them down. So that's my first suggestion. So going back, this was the Bible when I was a teenager. It's Be Here Now by Ram Dass. And this is the book that saved my sisters and I through our adolescence, growing up together. And I just remember going to Catholic school for 8 years, from first to eighth grade, and to read a different perspective. Ram Dass was a teacher guru who uh, who took acid with Timothy Leary, and these are his reflections and meditations on that. So, Ram Dass, Be Here Now. Fabulous book. This is kind of in chronological order of that I read them because that got me through my teenage years. The second book, very experienced criminologist. He interviewed thousands and thousands of victims and perpetrators. And the essence of the book is that the only thing that can protect you from becoming a victim is your intuition. And it really just gave me a lot more confidence and just to trust your own judgment. So this was a book that really was very pivotal in my 20s, I would say. So getting out of order a little bit, but when I went to seminary, I was really shocked that one of our textbooks was also written by Ram Dass. How can I help? And this is just a really interesting way to be of service in the world. And going to seminary, I mean, obviously it was a calling, and it was uh, something that was deeply personal, but how to be of service in the world, in a diverse world, diverse religious world, right? Or spiritual world, where a lot of people have been wounded by their birth religions and how to approach people. But this just has so many great ideas of how to be um, politically active and helpful across the board. So, How Can I Help by Ram Dass. The next I'm going to talk about is Rumi. I told my coworker last night about Rumi. He had never heard of him. Um, One of the greatest poets ever. And he lived about 700 years ago in Turkey. And so he was Muslim. And I am going to read one poem um, that I came upon recently. But there's lots of books on Rumi. There's meditation books on Rumi. There's so many different interpretations, and so interpretations always get me a little weird, but because when you translate something from one language to another, it doesn't always translate. But this one is called Looking for Your Face. From the beginning of my life, I have been looking for your face, but today I have seen it. Today I have seen the charm, the beauty, the unfathomable grace of the face that I was looking for. Today I have found you, and those who laughed and scorned me yesterday are sorry that they were not looking as I did. I am bewildered by the magnificence of your beauty, and I wish to see you with 100 eyes. My heart has burned with passion and has searched forever for this wondrous beauty that I now behold. I am ashamed to call this love human and afraid of God to call it divine. Your fragrant breath, like the morning breeze, has come to the stillness of the garden. You have breathed new life into me, and I become your sunshine and your shadow. My soul is screaming in ecstasy. Every fiber of my being is in love with you. Your effulgence has lit a fire in my heart, and you have made radiant for me the sky and the earth. My arrow of love has arrived at the target, and I am in the house of mercy, and my heart is a place of prayer. So Rumi was married and had children, and he came upon a teacher named Shams who instantly fell together like two spirits, two souls, and learned a lot from each other. And then Shams disappeared, and Rumi was so heartbroken by the separation. He just wrote prolific odes to Shams and odes to. So a lot of scholars kind of debate if it was really, if these are love poems to God or his love for this other man who just had such an impact on his life. So read Rumi. This is my adult Bible. It's called The Book of Secrets by Osho, and it has lots of old Indian knowledge. Kama Sutra is covered in it, but this is a slow read, tiny print, fine paper book that the Book of Secrets, it's really a book to life. And this is something that I just like to read a little bit before I go to bed. So it's something that I haven't been able to. And it's such a thick book, and I've gotten so much out of it. I've only read to there. So I've only read 153 pages because it's a book you have to sit and digest. And just fills my spirit with positive things and just deep world wisdom. And the way Osho writes, it kind of answers questions with questions and gives you lots to think about. So, a blessed book. The next one I'm going to talk about is Countdown. by Shauna Swan, PhD. And the reason why I'm going to talk about this is because this is a hot topic book right now. This is a brilliant researcher who took me out to lunch, wanted to interview me, even though she has this vast knowledge and education. She needed my opinion about gender stuff, and so there is a quote from me in this. She gave me a whole page. The names were changed to protect the innocent, but her all her research is about. She followed several pregnant women until the babies were born and are now 7 years old. And her research is about the amount of plastics that are in a mom's system is directly correlated to hormonal changes, genital changes, chromosomal, to plastics in the mom's body. And she believes that that's why there's such an explosion of trans people these days. Very controversial, but I think this book says how our modern world is threatening sperm counts, altering male and female reproductive development, and imperiling the future of the human race. Sperm counts are going down, um, fertility is going down. Why is that? Her research is very thorough and long studied, and I think it's worth a read. I think she should have called it, instead of Countdown to Zero. I think she should have called it, or said the big heading, "Our penis is getting smaller," because that's true according to her research. I think it would have gotten more attention, unfortunately, if it's male, um, if males were to hear that. So the next three are really kind of healing books. Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. If you've never heard of her, I used to listen to her books on tape. That's how old I am. If you read it in a superficial way, you'll feel blamed for your medical conditions. But if you read it on a deeper level, it just makes you feel more empowered about taking control of your life. And this, I mean, pages are falling out. It's such a well referenced book for me, and she's kind of the queen of positive thinking. And this one says over 400,000 copies in print, but it's been printed in many languages. And this is a book that's been on my shelf, like I said, aged and worn and taped. But it's a book I go back to over and over and over again. So where are we? I think we're at about book 8. Kate Bornstein, My Gender Workbook. This is such a great, just kind of course on yourself, and to make you think about gender. For the people that are gender privileged and never had to think about gender, it gives you a little insight um, into how trans people have to navigate the world, right? And so it really is a workbook. There's like questions and answers, and fun things and silly things, and just deep, honest subjects. So Kate Bornstein, she has other books too. I really do recommend her 101 Suicide Prevention Tips for Teens, Freaks, and Other Weirdos. I bought that for one of my teen family members, and they were like, oh my God. Like, they gave it to their sister, and she was like, oh my God, this book saved my life. So Kate Bornstein, anything by her, recommend. Kate Bornstein has a partner named Barbara Carrellas. Urban Tantra, uh, amazing book. This is where sex blends with spirituality, and Tantra traditionally is very hetero and monogamous, and this is neither. It honors all kinds of body types, all kinds of relationship styles. Um, it has, just a million ways of bonding with your partner, bonding with yourself, accepting your own body. Even what touched me the most was one of the she has several rituals in the book that you can do alone or with a partner, and one of them was honoring a partner that had passed away, and how you do that with and working with sexual energy and erotic energy. So urban tantra, there's been several uh, revised editions of this book, but phenomenal book. And this is a book that I'm just throwing in because as I get more and more into writing, it's called Ahab's Wife or The Stargazer by Senna Jeter Naslund, Naslund. And what I loved about this book, it's 660 pages long, and I never pick up books like this and read it. I could not put it down, but I didn't want it to end. This is an excellent, just so well written story of uh, Moby Dick, right? The book of Moby Dick. I haven't read it. The author read that book, and one little paragraph jumped out at her that, oh, Ahab had a wife, and this is an adventure of the wife's life and adventures. It's so well written that it's a perfect example for anybody who's getting into writing of examples of show don't tell. Like she paints the picture. You taste the salt in your mouth in the ocean. You feel the breeze on your face. It's just so descriptive. So totally recommend. And lastly, this is one of my little journals, and all those journals that I showed you before are just journals. This one is different and separate from the other ones. This is my gratitude journal. It's just a book of things that I write in that I love, that inspire me, that make me feel alive, that make me feel something. So right now I've been doing this, I don't even know what I don't even have it dated. Um, but right now, I've kept it for several years. Right now, I'm on page 70. I just wrote that last night. But when you need inspiration, again, read, right? And so, for example, number 32, I love listening to my houseplants when I water them and the water bubbles and filters through the soil. It's like they're talking to me. 34, I was knitting hats, baby hats. I made 40 of them and I donated them to the hospital. 35, I love the sound of a pen writing on paper, scratching and punctuating. So I'll just leave it at that. Those are just 3 things that I adore and make me feel alive. So as promised, as I wrap up, I'm going to read 3 poems. I just put out my first book of poetry. It's just on Kindle Direct Publishing, and I'll put a link to that in the back. I mean, on the underneath. But this is my gender poem in 3 acts. So the first one's male, second one's female, third one's androgynous. Act 1. Ode to a Phallus. In case no one told you lately, your penis is perfect in every way. Someone might need to hear this today, though I never understood pissing contests anyway. I, for one, live quite comfortably without one. Rather, I have a whole drawer full of colors and sizes or girths, yet you were born with only one. It is best to make friends with something you handle every day of your life, unless you're transgender, of course. For there are showers and growers and tantrum throwers, and others who are on holiday, All are good and fine, if not divine, in their own way. Act 2. How could she not? She writes from her womb, he once said, not in a condescending way, but in a way where her words inform of menstrual blood and childbirth, and now the wisdom of crone energy, which sits knowingly with a damp dish towel over one shoulder, smiling at the next generation of new daughters who taunt the public with their unshaven armpits in their gowns on the red carpet like they invented something new. I say, right from your wombs, the blood does not lie. It feeds and grounds and purges in a way that cannot be explained to half the male population. Neither their scholars nor laborers have walked our path. They need to be reminded of our riches. Act 3. O sacred androgyny. We are neither here nor there, but everywhere. Fruitless trees with rich barren seeds to cast upon the blind, to whom everything is given again and again. He, she, us, we, they, them, theirs. Labels can't begin to tell. We are full circle warriors, resilient and resistant again and again. The Bible says some of us are born this way from our mother's wombs. While I believe we needed to make ourselves the queer warriors we are to fulfill our destinies here on earth. So to you, sacred androgyny, I say, how great thou art, how great thou art. So thank you again for tuning in, and I hope to be making more videos shortly in the coming weeks. But this was a special New Year's Eve edition, and I'm wishing you all peace and blessings and health for the new year.